What if everything you've ever known, your identity, your desires, your suffering, what if it was all just a shadow? Maybe a dream. And what if the real you was never born, never dies, and is actually infinite? Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources on a topic and really pull out the key insights, the practical nuggets, all tailored for you. Today, we are plunging into Advaita Vedanta. It's this ancient non-dual philosophy championed by an incredible 8th century sage, Adi Shankaracharya. And it's a teaching that, well, it promises to liberate your mind from illusion, connect you back to your true self. We've gone through our sources and distilled the core wisdom just for this deep dive.
Yeah, our mission today is really to unpack this. We're going to explore who Shankaracharya was, what Advaita Vedanta actually teaches at its core, what are the key takeaways, the lessons, and maybe most importantly, how these ancient ideas can actually be applied, in our lives today. Because that's the so what, isn't it? Why should this philosophy, thousands of years old, matter to you right now?
Yeah.
We really want to give you that quick, but also thorough understanding that hopefully sparks some real insight.
Exactly. This isn't about getting bogged down in like super abstract philosophy. It's about finding the practical wisdom here. We want you to leave not just knowing more, but maybe feeling a bit of a shift in how you see things. So yeah, let's dive in. Let's make this make sense. Okay, so first up, who is this guy, Adi Shankaracharya? I mean, our sources paint him as this extraordinary figure, an 8th century Indian philosopher, a spiritual master. His achievements sound pretty remarkable.
They really were.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he didn't strictly invent Advaita Vedanta. He was more of a revivalist, you could say. He brought its essence back into the mainstream. The philosophy itself, it's much older, rooted deeply in the Upanishads, these ancient Vedic texts.
A revivalist, okay.
But yeah, a monumental figure, no doubt about it, intellectually, spiritually, just huge.
And monumental is right. Our sources mention something incredible, that by the age of 16, just 16, he'd already written these detailed commentaries on major spiritual texts. The Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras, key Upanishads. I mean, that's just astonishing.
It really is. It tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He wasn't just, reading books. He was living this stuff deeply. And he wasn't content to just write either.
Right, he was active.
Oh, incredibly active, like a missionary, full of zeal. He literally walked across India, the entire subcontinent, from the south all the way up to the Himalayas, setting up monasteries, debating other philosophical schools,
Wow.
all while spreading this one single profound message.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, right? Because this core message, this is the foundation, it's in Sanskrit. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Napara, which translates to Brahman alone is real, the world is an illusion, and the individual self is none other than Brahman. That statement just turns everything upside down. Okay, that quote gives us a big clue, but let's dig into Advaita itself. What does that word truly mean, and what are the sort of fundamental pillars of this teaching? It sounds complex.
Well, Advaita literally translates as not two, or you could say non-duality. That's the absolute core. And the fundamental teaching, surprisingly, is quite simple at its heart. It says there's only one ultimate reality, period. And that reality is called Brahman.
Okay, one ultimate reality, Brahman. Lots of traditions talk about something like that, but where do we fit in? My individual self, that feels pretty separate from some ultimate cosmic thing.
And that's the kicker. That's the revolutionary part. The next key teaching is that Atman, that's your individual self, your consciousness, is not separate from Brahman. They're one and the same.
Not separate.
Exactly. The feeling, the perception we have that you, me, this room, the universe, that we're all separate bits and pieces. Advaita says that's the illusion. That's Maya.
Maya.
Right? Like a veil. Or maybe like a dream. You know how a dream feels totally real while you're in it?
Yeah, definitely.
But then you wake up and it's gone. It wasn't ultimately real, even though it felt real at the time.
Right.
The world is kind of like that, according to Advaita. Functionally real, yes, but not the ultimate independent reality.
Okay, so, wow. If everything is one and myself isn't really separate, that really challenges, well, everything I normally think. So how does this actually apply to us in simple terms? Can you break that down a bit more, make it really relatable?
Let's try. In the simplest terms, Advaita says, you are not your body. You experience having a body, but you aren't just that. You are not your thoughts. Either look how they constantly change, come and go.
Right.
You're not even your personality. All your likes and dislikes and habits, those are things you have, things you experience.
Okay, so what am I then?
You are the awareness, the infinite, unchanging consciousness in which all those things, body, thoughts, feelings, personality, arise and pass away. Think of it like a screen. The movie plays on the screen, scenes change, characters come and go, but the screen itself remains untouched, unchanged.
Ah, okay. I'm the screen, not the movie playing on it.
Exactly, that's the aha moment. Realizing you're the unchanging background, the witness, not the constantly shifting foreground.
Mm.
And understand that, really understanding it, is meant to free you from identifying so strongly with all the temporary stuff.
That is, yeah, that's a really profound shift. A great way to explain it. Okay, so if we kind of grasp that idea, what are the key lessons that Vita offers? How does this translate into living differently?
Well, flowing from that core idea of non-duality, our sources highlight three really critical lessons. The first one tackles the ego, the illusion of the separate self.
The ego.
We're all so attached to our name, our job title, our social status, our personal history, all that stuff. Advaita teaches that this I, this ego, is temporary. It's a construct. It's like a costume.
A costume. I like that metaphor. It suggests that real freedom, then, starts when you realize you're not the costume, but the actor wearing it. Is that the idea?
That's exactly the idea.
That's powerful. What stands out to you about how we usually define ourselves and how this just flips that script? It makes you question, who are you really beyond your job or your family role? Like if someone criticizes you and your ego feels bruised, this suggests it's just the costume that got a bit roughed up, not your actual being.
Precisely. And think about how liberating that could be. If someone criticizes your work or you don't get that promotion or whatever, if you truly understand your deepest self isn't defined by that role or that outcome, the sting just isn't as deep. The need for external validation starts to fade. You realize you have an ego, sure, but you are not it. Okay, so that's lesson one. Lesson two builds on this. The world is not what it seems.
Uh-oh. Here we go again with the illusion thing.
Haha. Yeah, but maybe not in the way you think. It doesn't mean the world is fake or that this table isn't solid, like you said earlier. It means the world, in its nature, is constantly changing. It's impermanent. Nothing stays the same.
Okay, that's undeniable. Things change.
Right. So real peace, according to Advaita, doesn't come from trying to grab onto things in this constantly shifting world, trying to find permanent security where it doesn't exist. It comes from grounding yourself in the unchanging reality, Brahman, that awareness, the screen. If you connect this to the bigger picture, it really challenges our endless hunt for stability in things that are, by definition, unstable. Think about relationships, jobs, health. We want them to be fixed, permanent, but they aren't. This teaching suggests finding stability within, in that unchanging core, which helps reduce anxiety about controlling the uncontrollable outside world.
That makes a lot of sense. We spend so much energy chasing fleeting things, hoping they'll last forever, and then we're disappointed. So finding that anchor within that allows for peace even when things outside are chaotic.
Got it. And the third lesson.
The third lesson is unity in all beings. This flows directly from Advaita, not two. If the ultimate reality is one, if everything is Brahman, then fundamentally there's no real separation between you and me or us and anyone else or even us and nature.
Wow.
When you start to see yourself in others, truly, judgment starts to dissolve. Fear of the other diminishes. Conflict becomes, harder to sustain. What arises instead is compassion, empathy, because you're seeing reflections of the same underlying reality. That feels incredibly relevant right now, doesn't it? In a world that often feels so fragmented, so divided, imagine the shift if people genuinely felt that unity, that the person you see as other is, in essence, another expression of you. Okay, so this isn't just like lofty philosophy. It feels like a direct invitation to change how we experience everything. But the big question for you listening is probably how? How do we actually do this? How do we bring Advaita into our daily lives? It sounds great, but what are the steps?
That's the crucial practical part. And our sources lay out four main approaches. Think of them as tools to bridge the gap between understanding the idea and actually experiencing it. The first one is called self-inquiry, or Atma Vichara in Sanskrit.
Self-inquiry.
This is the practice of asking deeply and consistently, who am I? Not looking for an intellectual answer like I'm Bob or I'm a lawyer. It's more like an observation. When a thought comes, ask, am I this thought? Or am I the awareness of this thought? Same with emotions, sensations.
So constantly tracing back to the awareness itself.
Exactly. The idea is that over time, by repeatedly looking for the I that thinks it's the body or the mind, you start to see that those things are objects in your awareness, not awareness itself. The false layers of identification hopefully start to fall away, revealing the pure witness, the consciousness that you are. It's about finding the silence behind the mental noise.
That sounds like a kind of ongoing meditation woven into life. Okay, what's the second approach?
The second is detachment, or vairagya. Now, this can sound a bit negative, like indifference, But that's not really it. It doesn't mean you have to reject the world or run off to a cave.
Good to know.
Right? It means living in the world, engaging with it, but not being bound by it. It's a detachment born from wisdom, from understanding that external things, possessions, status, experiences, even relationships to some extent, are temporary. They don't define your true self. So you can enjoy them, pursue goals, love people, but without that desperate clinging, without your fundamental happiness depending entirely on them staying a certain way.
So participating fully, but with an inner freedom. Knowing your core well-being isn't tied to whether you win or lose, succeed or fail in the worldly sense.
Precisely. Your inner foundation remains stable regardless of the external ups and downs.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about practices that directly cultivate that inner quiet, that space you mentioned?
Well, that leads right into the third approach, meditation and silence. Dhyana and Mana. This is about setting aside dedicated time each day to turn inward, to simply sit and watch the mind. Not judging the thoughts, not trying to force them away, just letting them come and go like clouds passing in the sky.
Observing the movie on the screen.
Exactly. And crucially, allowing yourself to rest in silence, letting the mental chatter subside. Because it's often in that quiet space, when the mind isn't so loud, that you can begin to sense that deeper reality, that awareness that's always there beneath the noise.
Makes sense. Quiet the noise to hear the signal. And the final approach, for those who maybe connect more through study.
Yes, the fourth approach is scriptural study. But it's not just casual reading. In Advaita, it's often described as a three-step process. Shravana, Manana, and Nidikasana.
Okay, break those down.
Shravana is hearing or reading the core teachings, studying texts like the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, Shankaracharya's own writings, really taking in the wisdom.
Right.
Manana is reflection, thinking deeply about what you've read, questioning it, turning it over in your mind, see how it relates to your own life and experiences. Does it resonate? Where does it challenge you? It's about intellectual digestion.
Okay.
And Nidikasana is meditation or contemplation on those specific truths. Taking a key concept like I am Brahman or the world is impermanent and holding it in your awareness, letting it sink in beyond the intellect, aiming for it to become a direct lived experience, moving from knowing about it to knowing it. So these four, self-inquiry, detachment, meditation, silence, and the study process, they work together. And we'd really encourage you, if any of this resonates, to maybe explore one or more of these practices, see what impact they might have.
So this really brings us back to the so what. Why does all this ancient wisdom matter today? For you listening right now, maybe juggling work, family, anxieties, just the sheer overwhelm of modern life. How is Advaita relevant?
I think it's more relevant than ever, precisely because of our fast-paced, hyper-identified world. We're constantly encouraged to define ourselves by external things, our jobs, our possessions, our online profiles, our beliefs. Advaita cuts through all that. It doesn't ask you to adopt a new belief system necessarily. It asks you to look, to investigate your own direct experience. Who are you, really, beneath all the labels and stories?
It's an invitation to self-discovery.
A profound one. And here's the real payoff, the powerful shift our sources point to. When you begin to truly realize, not just intellectually, but maybe in moments of quiet or insight, that your true self, that awareness is never actually touched by fear or anxiety or loss or change. Untouched. It's the screen, remember. When that starts to dawn, you don't become free at some point in the future. You start to remember you already are free. That freedom is your fundamental nature. It was just obscured by identifying with the temporary movie. That's the ultimate aha moment, offering potentially immense peace.
Wow, you don't become free. You remember you already are. That's a game changer, isn't it? It flips the whole spiritual quest narrative from achieving something new to uncovering what's already here, a truly well-explained insight. And that feels like a perfect place to leave you with a final thought to ponder. It's a quote from Adi Shankaracharya himself. You're already liberated, you only need to realize it. Just let that sink in. It ties directly back to what we were just saying. You are not becoming, you are being.
Yeah, and maybe that raises a really important question for you to explore on your own after this. If your true self, deep down, is already free, already whole, already untouched by all the drama, what does knowing that, even intellectually at first, change about how you face challenges, how you react to things, how you define success or happiness in your everyday life?
Something powerful to reflect on. Remember that ancient, profound call. Know thyself, you are that. I thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yes, thank you for tuning in and exploring this with us. We really appreciate it.